Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something we all face as we grow in life. Relationships, friendships, and connections that begin to feel different. You may have noticed that as you improve yourself, change your habits, or chase bigger goals, some people around you start to fade away. It's not always because of conflict. It's not always because of drama. Sometimes it's simply because you're growing and they're not. This talk isn't about cutting people off or being harsh. It's about understanding that growth is a journey, and not everyone is meant to walk every mile with you. When you commit to bettering yourself, the wrong people will naturally fall off. Not because you pushed them, but because they chose not to rise with you. So let's dive into the truth behind why you don't need to cut anyone off. You just need to grow, and they'll fall off on their own. My friends, let me tell you something I've learned. Not in a book, but on the long road of life and business. You don't need to cut people off. You don't need to fight. You don't need to explain. You don't need to prove yourself. All you need is to grow. You see, life is like climbing a hill. At the bottom, everyone is there. Everyone can laugh. Everyone can talk. It's crowded. It's noisy. Everyone is your friend when you're not going anywhere. But the moment you decide to climb, something happens. Not everyone wants to go higher. Some people say, why climb? But the view is the same. They don't see what you see. So you keep climbing. At first you look back and wave. You want to bring them with you. But some, they laugh. Some, they mock you. Some, they disappear. Don't be angry. Don't chase them. Don't wait. Grow. Because here's the truth. As you rise, the air gets thinner. Only those who prepare themselves can breathe at higher altitudes. Those who don't grow with you fall away by gravity. Not by hate. It's not personal. It's natural. You don't lose friends. You outgrow them. You don't cut ties. You elevate beyond them. A tree never argues with the leaves that fall in autumn. It just waits for spring and grows new ones. So I say again, no need to cut people off. Just grow. Grow until their energy can't match your vibration. Grow until your vision is too big for small minds. Grow until your circle aligns by altitude, not by history. Keep climbing, my friends, because the hill is waiting, and the view, it's worth it. Growth naturally separates you from those not meant to continue with you. It's not something you have to force, announce, or feel guilty about. When you focus on becoming better, evolving, learning, and pushing toward your next level, your life begins to shift. The way you think, speak, and move starts to reflect your growth. And when that happens, not everyone will understand. Some people will fall silent. Some will pull back. Others might even criticize the changes they see in you. But you don't have to react to that. You don't have to get emotional or defensive. You simply keep growing. People grow at different speeds and in different directions. Sometimes the people closest to you are comfortable with who you used to be. Connected with the version of you that didn't know your worth, didn't set boundaries, didn't prioritize purpose, or didn't aim too high. But when you begin to evolve, when you start valuing peace, discipline, and long-term vision, they might feel uncomfortable around you. That discomfort is not always a reflection of you changing for the worse. It's often a reflection of them staying the same while you started to move. You don't have to shrink yourself just to make others comfortable. You don't need to explain every step of your journey or seek approval for your growth. It's okay to outgrow environments, habits, and even people. The more you grow, the more you realize who is meant for your path and who was only part of your preparation. Some people were never supposed to go with you to the next level. And that's fine. Not everyone is built for your vision. Not everyone has the stamina to climb your mountain. So don't waste energy trying to drag people who are choosing to stand still. Instead of cutting people off, just move forward. Keep learning, keep applying, keep developing. Growth has a way of making certain relationships fade out naturally. You won't need harsh words. You won't need arguments. As your mindset changes, your energy changes. As your energy changes, your circle changes. People who don't match your new frequency will distance themselves because the version of you they once knew no longer exists. This isn't cold. It's natural. It's alignment. You're not losing people. You're finding clarity. The more you level up, the more obvious it becomes who supports you genuinely and who only tolerated you at a lower version. The growth exposes truth, and truth doesn't always come with noise. It just shows itself quietly. You don't need to announce that you're moving different. Just move. You don't need to tell them they no longer fit. Just fit yourself into the future you're building. Growth makes the choice for you. Those who are meant to rise with you will. Those who are not will fall off. No conflict needed. You don't need to cut people off, just elevate. Hey, you truly focus on your growth, on becoming the best version of yourself. The people who aren't aligned with your new direction will start to distance themselves naturally. You don't have to announce your boundaries or explain your evolution. Just focus on rising. The energy of elevation naturally repels what doesn't serve your purpose. Not out of malice or arrogance, but simply because not everyone is equipped to handle the person you're becoming. Elevation is silent. It's not always loud or dramatic. It doesn't require confrontation. It requires consistency. Modest. When you raise your standards, your habits, your mindset, and your circle, the old versions of life that no longer match that level will fade out. Some people were only compatible with the version of you that was still doubting, still playing small, still settling. As you shift into higher clarity, discipline, and peace, you'll notice that certain conversations no longer excite you, certain energy no longer comforts you, and certain people no longer connect with you. And that's okay. You don't need to block people and follow them or make a scene. You don't need to shout about who's not supporting you or who changed up. When you elevate, the separation happens on its own. The more you heal, the less chaos you'll allow. The more you grow, the more distance appears between you and what you used to tolerate. People fall off not because you rejected them, but because they chose not to grow. And that decision creates the gap. When you stop engaging in drama, gossip, and low-frequency distractions, you start to become someone people can't reach unless they've also done the work. The atmosphere around you changes. You become focused on peace, purpose, and progress. The same people who used to call you every day will suddenly go silent, not because you've changed in a bad way, but because your presence no longer feeds their old patterns. You didn't push them out. You elevated, and they stayed still. The result is distance, natural, unforced, undeniable. You don't need revenge. You don't need to prove anything. The most powerful thing you can do is become so focused on becoming who you're meant to be that the people who are never really aligned just fall away. No need to tell them they're no longer part of your circle. No need to justify why you've been quiet, busy, or unavailable. Let your progress speak. Okay? Let your peace speak. Let your energy speak. Because when you truly rise, your silence becomes louder than any explanation ever could. Just keep elevating. Those who are meant to grow with you will rise to meet you. Those who aren't will fall off without you having to lift a finger. That's the beauty of growth. It does the work for you. You don't need to cut people off, just elevate. As you grow, something powerful starts to happen. The things and people who no longer align with your purpose begin to drift away on their own. There's no need for confrontation, no need for loud exits or dramatic farewells. When you elevate yourself, your mindset, your discipline, your standard, those who are not ready to grow with you simply not be able to keep up. It's not rejection, it's resonance. The more you tune into your true frequency, the more life filters what no longer matches that vibration. People who gossip, waste time, avoid accountability, or resist change will feel the shift, even if you say nothing. And slowly, quietly, they'll distance themselves. Not because you push them away, but because growth made the gap too wide. This path isn't about ego, it's about clarity. You begin to understand that not everyone is meant to walk the entire journey with you. Some people came to teach you lessons, and once those lessons are complete, their season in your life ends. Trying to hold on too long only creates friction. Instead, focus on rising. Rise in your character, in your discipline, in your vision. As you do, you'll find yourself surrounded by people who speak your new language, people who dream bigger, move with integrity, and challenge you to stay sharp. You won't have to beg for loyalty or chase approval. The right ones will align naturally. The rest will fall away like leaves in autumn, not because they're bad, but because your elevation demands different energy. This doesn't mean you stop loving people or become cold. It means you love yourself enough not to shrink. You honor the growth that's calling you forward. You understand that peace doesn't always come from fixing others. Sometimes it comes from fixing your focus. When you're locked in on becoming better, your time becomes more valuable, your conversations more intentional, and your circle more refined. The ones who don't respect that won't feel comfortable in your presence anymore. And that's okay. Let them go without bitterness. Let them fade without resentment. Not everyone is ready for the altitude your life is heading toward. So don't waste energy cutting people off. You don't need to announce your boundaries or defend your transformation. Just grow. Let your growth be the silent separator. Let your success, your discipline, your peace be the quiet response. The more you rise, the more life will naturally sift what belongs. And in that space, you'll find something beautiful. Not only new people, but a new version of yourself. Strong enough to walk alone, wise enough to welcome the right ones, and grounded enough to never chase what you've outgrown. The higher you climb, fewer people can handle the altitude. As you rise in life, whether it's mentally, spiritually, emotionally, or financially, you start to notice a shift. The circle that once felt full begins to feel quiet. The people who once understood you now seem distant. Conversations feel different. Connections fade. But it's not because you become cold or arrogant. It's because your elevation changes the environment, and not everyone is built to breathe at the level you're heading toward. When you start climbing, your mindset sharpens. You begin to protect your peace, invest in your growth, and guard your time. You no longer entertain small talk rooted in complaints or gossip. You start thinking long-term, speaking with purpose, and acting with discipline. And when that shift happens, it naturally creates a gap between who you were and who you are becoming. People who are comfortable with the older version of you start to feel uncomfortable with the newer one. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because your presence now challenges their comfort zone. Elevation demands sacrifice. It demands focus, discipline, and a strong sense of self. Not everyone is willing to make that commitment, and not everyone is ready to do the inner work it takes to grow. So when you rise, some people will try to pull you back down, not always out of hate, but out of fear. Fear of being left behind, fear of no longer relating to you, fear of being forced to confront their own stagnation. But you don't need to cut them off. You don't need to argue, plead, or try to carry them. It says keep climbing. The air gets thinner the higher you go, and some people simply aren't built for altitude. They want to stay where it's safe, where it's familiar, where nothing changes. But growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in movement, in discomfort, in reaching for more. And when you live at that level, you start to understand why isolation becomes necessary. Not because you want to be alone, but because not everyone can handle the weight of your vision or the pressure of your purpose. You don't need to slow down so others can catch up. You don't need to water yourself down to be understood. Keep your pace. Honor your climb. The people who are meant for your life will adjust their lungs to the altitude. They'll rise with you, not resist you. Those who can, they'll fall off, not because you pushed them, but because they chose not to grow. And that's the truth most people don't want to face. You won't lose them because you changed. You'll lose them because they didn't. So keep climbing, keep elevating, keep becoming who you're meant to be. As the air thins, the distractions fade. The crowd gets smaller, but the clarity gets sharper. The vision gets stronger. And the purpose becomes undeniable. The higher you climb, the more you realize that your journey was never about keeping everyone. It was about becoming everything. And those who can't breathe where you're going were never meant to make it to the top. Outgrowing people isn't betrayal, it's evolution. As you continue to grow and evolve, you may begin to feel like you no longer fit into certain relationships, conversations, or environments that once felt natural. This isn't a sign of disloyalty or that something is wrong with you or them. It's a natural part of life. Growth changes your outlook. your values, your energy, and your vision. And your vision. And when that happens, you'll start to feel misaligned with those who are standing still while you're moving forward. But you don't need to cut them off. You don't need a dramatic exit. You just need to keep growing. In time, they'll fall off, not because you turned your back, but because your path shifted to higher ground. There's a common misconception that distancing yourself from certain people means you're being fake or disloyal. But evolution isn't about loyalty to comfort, it's about loyalty to purpose. If you keep shrinking yourself to fit into spaces you've outgrown, you're betraying your own growth just to keep others comfortable. That's not love. That's self-abandonment. That's self-abandonment. The people who truly belong in your life will evolve alongside you. They may not grow at the same pace, but they'll support your growth rather than resist it. Sometimes the hardest part of growth is realizing that not everyone is meant to come with you. You may have shared deep bonds, memories, and even dreams. But if your energy no longer aligns, forcing those relationships only drains you. And when you're trying to reach new levels in life, you can't afford to carry the weight of relationships that resist change. You're not responsible for everyone's journey. You're only responsible for honoring your own. Fear. And when you choose growth, you'll notice that those who are unwilling to evolve will begin to pull back on their own. They'll misunderstand you. They might even resent you. But none of that means you're wrong for growing. Growth makes things uncomfortable. It disrupts familiar patterns. It forces reflection. And while some people embrace that challenge, others avoid it at all costs. So as you evolve, people will fall away. Not because you wish them gone, but because your life no longer reflects the world they feel safe in. That's not betrayal, that's evolution. And evolution requires you to release what no longer aligns with where you're going. Not to be heartless, but to make space for what's next. So keep moving forward without guilt. Keep evolving without explanation. You don't need to announce who no longer fits into your life. You don't need to explain why certain connections feel distant. Just grow. Quietly, consistently, intentionally. Growth will do the work for you. It will attract what's meant for you and remove what no longer serves you. No need to cut people off. Bridges. If you keep growing, the people who are truly for you will rise with you. The rest will fall off, not as enemies, but as chapters that were never meant to last the entire story.